Hi there, and welcome to the best and worst of 2025. A couple of years ago, I switched from yearly videos like this to subscriber milestone type videos. But because of the sabotage to my channel, watch that video if you haven't, that 200k mark is going to take a while longer to get to. So a best of 2025 can't hurt in the meantime. Let's jump right into it. Today I'll be counting down the best 10 and worst 5 experiences, along with a couple more niche honorable mentions, one of which starts us off today in the Dominican Republic. In 3 words, that beach though. This is an honorable mention for both the Hyatt Zilara Cap Cana and the Secrets Cap Cana, which share the same endless stretch of gorgeous white sand beach. When I book trips, sometimes the room is the priority, sometimes it's the food, sometimes the grounds, and for when it's all about the beach, Cap Cana is the place you're going to want to visit. Just make sure you go in a shoulder season so you're not shelling out $1,000 or more per night. Our second honorable mention today goes to the single best dish that I had on a plane this year. In 3 words, I want seconds. While the older recliner business class cabins on these regional Saudi A330s isn't all that inspirational, the couscous tagine on the way from Tunis to Jeddah more than made up for it. And everything else on that tray just hit the spot just as nicely. I've said it once and I'll say it again, and I'm sure many times in the future. Saudia has some of the best regional catering in the region, if not the world, as long as you can survive 3 hours without alcohol. Our final honorable mention today goes to Delta Airlines, which in 3 words was flight crew perfection. Due to a continuous series of microburst alerts in Denver that day, our flight to Seattle was delayed on the tarmac for nearly 3 hours. The communication from the flight deck was literally what anxious flyers' dreams are made of. Every 15 minutes we knew exactly what was going on, what the plan was in that moment, and what the contingency plan would be if we had to go back to the gate. The cabin crew excelled as well, keeping us very well hydrated throughout the delay.
We're going to give it a try, and right now we're going to do our best to make the takeoff.
Hearing that A220 finally spool up was such a relief that it actually got a round of applause. Okay, let's get into the really good stuff. And by the way, every video that I mention in this video is linked in the best and worst of 2025 playlist in the description. Coming in at number 10, the Datai on the Malaysian island of Langkawi. In 3 words, enveloped in nature. The Datai received a perfect 100 out of 100 score from me. And while it is on the beach, I'd say calling it a beach resort is very much missing the point. The Datai is a rainforest retreat, which just so happens to be located on an expansive, secluded beach. The Datai is known to be Malaysia's first true luxury resort, opened over 30 years ago. And from the rooms and villas to the restaurants, the common spaces, the grounds, and everything in between, the Datai has precisely one goal in mind: to allow you to connect back to nature in the least trendy or corny way possible. The Datai is a gem. Coming in at number 9 is SAS Business Class from Bangkok to Copenhagen, which in 3 words is simply done well. But we could also say simple done well. SAS excels in the understated, in the quiet confidence that whispers, we have everything you need, but nothing else to distract. Does SAS have the best business class in the world? No. Are they trying to have the best business class in the world? No. They're trying to have a very Scandinavian business class, which the minimalist in you, if there is one, will appreciate. The cabin, the food, the hospitality, it's all anchored in their Scandinavian roots, even if they did at one time question what those roots actually were. For number 8, we're heading to my former home, Saigon, Vietnam. Specifically to the Park Hyatt, which is in 3 words, the modern classic. For at least a decade, the Park Hyatt Saigon has been known to be one of the strongest performers in the Park Hyatt portfolio, and for a reasonable price to boot. To say that the Park Hyatt is a departure from the types of hotel designs that I generally personally prefer is an understatement. But I think the fact that it still lands on this list is a testament to just how well the design and the experience are intertwined. If I'm perfectly honest, there are not that many hotels, globally, and especially in this price range, that feel as special, as one of a kind as the Park Hyatt Saigon. Staying here is an experience that is as indulgent and elegant as it is laid back and down to earth. And I think that's why the whole package fits so well here in Saigon. Saigon is the bustling modern metropolis, the financial engine of the country, with deep French colonial roots. That juxtaposition of old and new is what the hotel does so well, not to mention their world-class breakfast. The Park Hyatt Saigon will always be one of my favorites. For number 7, we're heading a little over 9,000 miles east to Los Cabos, Mexico, for a look at the Zoetry Casa del Mar, which in 3 words is Mexican desert charm. This Zoetry property genuinely surprised me with its hacienda charm and sprawling grounds leading to the beautiful never-ending beach. When you think of all-inclusive resorts, charm is usually not the first word that comes to mind, and that is what sets this Zoetry apart. While it is true that you can't really swim at most beaches in Cabo, I think the resort makes up for it with a variety of pools, lounging and seating areas throughout, which seem suitable for a resort of twice the size. The fact that there are only 61 rooms and suites here still surprises me to this day. If you're in North America and you're looking for something close to home that isn't that typical cookie-cutter Cancun experience, look no further. Number 6 today is Cathay Pacific in business class from New York JFK to Hong Kong, and in 3 resounding words, Cathay is back. For a wide variety of reasons, some of their own doing, many not, Cathay's struggle just before COVID, and through their recovery was uniquely challenging, and it was universally thought that Cathay really did lose their edge. In the mid-2010s, Cathay and Singapore Airlines were neck and neck, battling out for the Best Airline Awards. But the years that followed saw years of struggle for Cathay, which is what made my flight with them this year all the more surprising and encouraging, nearly heartwarming. That a beloved brand that had fallen quite far from grace was hell-bent on quietly and carefully reinventing itself in an image that abandoned the fanfare of trying to be the best and focused simply on offering elevated products across all classes of service. The food and the personalized natural service on this ultra-long-haul flight are what really stood out and have me looking forward to my Cathay flights coming up next year. Let's switch gears for a moment and get the worst of 2025 out of the way before we reveal my absolute favorites. I will say that 2025 as a travel year was pretty kind to me. These are my worst experiences of the year, but only 1 or 2 of them were true disasters. Let's start off though with this one dishonorable mention. The world's tallest IKEA, the unverified origin of the facepalm, the tower that cut off all of its corners both literally and figuratively, the Park Hyatt Kuala Lumpur. In 3 words, this won't last. You probably know already that the big hotel groups hardly own any actual hotels at this point. Local owners will always be trying to do things in the most cost-effective, or in this case, just plain cheap, way. And so, I squarely put the blame for all of the faults at this brand new Park Hyatt Kuala Lumpur on the shoulders of Hyatt Corporate. To whoever signed off on the materials used across the board, you've done Park Hyatt a disservice, and I have to assume that you've never even visited the property. I won't go into more detail since my full video literally just came out a few days ago. You'll want to take a look. Okay, number 5 in my worst of 2025. Let me quote myself from the video a bit. Quote, I saw speculation online that Hyatt would turn this into a Secrets after they take it over, and I laughed out loud. It's not that I think that Secrets is the best thing since sliced bread, but this property doesn't even come close to Secrets quality, unquote. You see, I visited this resort when it was still the Hilton La Romana. I explained in the video how Hyatt had bought the company that owned the Hilton La Romana, and it was due to be reflagged at some point after my video came out. So, in 3 words, timeshare chic. I don't deny that the beach and the water are beautiful, but the quality of the accommodation and most of the food was laughable, with an overall feeling of a vacation club, not a high-end resort. The fact that Hyatt did rebrand this as a Secrets is truly beyond me. There is nothing offensively bad here. But there are also absolutely no reasons to spend your hard-earned cash here either. Number 4, in 3 words, was hot as hell. On an overnight train from Amsterdam to Vienna, in a private cabin on a night jet service. Most of the train experience was exactly as expected. In theory, the cabin was comfortable, but my cabin had a malfunctioning heater, with service that was just as horrendous and, ironically, cold. I did not sleep a single wink that night, but rather spent a lot of time sitting or standing in the hallway since the train was completely sold out and my cabin was a breezy 102 degrees Fahrenheit. Never, ever again. Number 3 on the worst of list can be summed up as hotel highway robbery. This is the Regent Bali, one of the most anticipated resort openings in Bali in the past year or two. When planning began for this resort, it was meant to be an intercontinental, and genuinely, even before I knew that fact, I was thinking this looked an awful lot like a nice intercontinental when walking around. Well, they should have just stuck to the original plan. Instead, when I visited in their second month of operation, they apparently didn't think guests who paid $800 per night in these early days deserved any sort of service or experience around the property. At night, the covers stayed on the chairs and tables at the restaurants which were open. During the day, they had no staff to be found around the primary pools, all of the chairs and loungers wrapped up tight. That's not to mention that a lot of the exterior surfaces throughout the resort looked like they were a good 10 years old in their second month of operation. Even if the experience was flawless though, this is very simply not an $800 per night for the cheapest room property. And perhaps IHG management agreed, since the pricing here was slashed from the mid 800s to the high 500s a couple of months after my review. For around $400 a night as an intercontinental, I can see how in another universe, I would have given this place a great score. But even for $600, you can get a heck of a lot more in Bali for that, and you won't have to share your beachfront pool with beach walk-ins either. Number 2, in 3 words, queasy does it. In my years of making content, I had genuinely only heard good things about Air Astana, but I would have rather taken the bus. From the aircraft swap, which meant that I didn't have the lie-flat seat that I paid for from Beijing, to the poor food on that first flight, the uncompensated change of schedule which left me in Almaty for a full day, to the food poisoning I had on my second flight to Baku, Air Astana disappointed across the board, except for their new beautiful business class lounge. For the glorious number 1 spot, we have, in 3 words, ew. Just ew. Air Algérie, who hurt you? And more importantly, who confiscated all of your cleaning products? My first flight from Dubai was comfortable but light on amenities, not so spick and span, and not all that appetizing with the crew handling actual food with their bare hands. The real shock to the system though came on my second really short flight from Algiers to Tunis, when I boarded what is easily the dirtiest aircraft that I've ever set foot on. The caked up dirt and grime really sent my head spinning, like, surely I'm not the only one that sees it, right? Surely I'm not the only one that was skeeved out just by sitting on this plane. Air Algérie was the first and only ever airline to make it to my number 1 ranking on my list, and is one of the few airlines on Earth which I genuinely have no interest in ever flying again. Okay, let's get back to the good stuff. Coming in at number 5 for the best of the year is British Airways first class from London to Kuwait City, and in 3 words, this one's personal. I am well aware that BA does not have the best reputation as far as first class cabins go. Many joke that it's the world's best business class seat, and to anyone that says that with a straight face, obviously you haven't sat in many business class seats. The first class seat itself is spacious, incredibly comfortable, and has loads of storage areas. I do personally think that it's more than worthy of being called first class. For me though, as I explained in the full video, this was a very personal bucket list journey for me. Since I was a kid, I had always been a bit obsessed with someday flying BA first, originally dreaming of trying out their wingback style seats. Once the day came to actually try it though, I was very pleasantly surprised by the service and the food on board, even if they didn't have my first choice for breakfast in a cabin of just 2 passengers. They excel in sleep quality as well. Door or no door, I think BA First has the best bedding in the sky out of any airline in any class. For number 4, we're heading to Indonesia, to the island of Lombok. The Sierra Lombok is in 3 words, mainstream secluded escape. I know mainstream might come off as odd here, but I mean it in the sense that this luxury collection resort by Marriott is easily accessible. It's not some off-the-grid hidden boutique that you need to take 6 flights and 3 boats to get to. A quick flight or ferry ride from Bali and you'll be at the Sierra in no time. The resort excels in the quality of in-room finishes, the fantastic fairly high-touch service where everyone will know your name in a couple of days, and the incredible food on offer. From my Patreons and viewers alike, I've received only purely positive feedback about stays here since I published my review as well. In fact, in a comment on my sabotage video, a viewer mentioned that they visited because of my video, and while they were there, they met another couple who were also there because of my review. When I titled that original video as quote-unquote "book it now," I wasn't kidding. Number 3 in 3 words is so wonderfully French. If you watch the channel a lot, you know that I love Air France, and I say the same thing every freaking time. I don't think they're the best airline in the world, but they are my favorite airline, and they have been making some incredible strides in elevating the passenger experience on board at a time when the majority of their competition is heading in the opposite direction. That momentum and their commitment to simply being as French of an airline as physically possible is really what sets them apart. My love for this flight from Paris to Chicago equally doesn't have anything to do with France and also is all about France, because I just love airlines that lean into their local products and give fantastic service without pandering to every single passenger on board. It's simply a style and a full package that I really enjoy, and my 3 flights that I have coming up with Air France this year are some of my most anticipated to see how they've further progressed. Number 2 on the list is a very similar story to Air France. In 3 words, everything I need. Iberia has not had the best reputation for the past decade or so, or really any time before that. But that's what made this flight all the more delightful from Madrid to Mexico City. We had a comfortable private suite, delicious food, and a great variety of drinks, and some of the best service that I've seen on any Western airline. Pursers who enjoy their jobs are the most valuable assets in the commercial aviation industry, hands down, besides maybe like the pilots. Every single time I've ever commented on having a great crew on board a flight, it has been without fail driven by an engaged purser who was as organized as they were light on their feet, as conversational as they were committed to efficiency. When you have a purser like that, the rest of the crew will follow with the same enthusiasm. It seems that Iberia might not get all of the credit that it deserves. If I see a full crew of flight attendants on a flight that are enjoying their job that much and are also that good, that says a lot. I have another long-haul flight with them next year, so we shall see how they are on the consistency front. Finally, we find ourselves at the number 1 spot, and it was the easiest decision in this entire video. The Ritz-Carlton Langkawi. In 3 words, take my money. Why? Because whatever they're charging, I'm ready to pay it. My experience was simply that good. Next time I go, and there will be a next time, I would definitely splurge on a pool villa, which would perfectly complement the incredibly lush and manicured grounds, which seem to go on forever, the delicious food on offer with a strong footing in Malay cuisine, and I think above all else, the service which was just on a different level. Malaysia does not have the best reputation for refined and personalized service, but the Thai and the Ritz-Carlton really do put that stereotype on notice that it's time to step aside. Now would be a great time to give you a bit of insight into what content is coming in 2026, but I already gave you a full preview of the next 6 months worth of videos in my sabotage video. So for the content that I'll be filming in 2026, I'll be a big tease and just give you the 4 niches that I'm focusing on: African aviation, Indonesia, premium economy, and India. Of course, in addition to all of those, there are plenty of flight and hotel videos from other places as well. Not a word more. So I hope you enjoyed the video, I hope you enjoyed the content this year, and I thank you for sticking with me through a really rough patch. Have a great festive season, and I'll see you again on Thursday.